Hello, thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Jocelyn Donovan. I'm the CPNP for Niwasa Kandaswan Tag, and today I'm here to talk to you about breastfeeding. Now, breastfeeding is amazing. It is the most natural, unequaled way of feeding your baby. Of course, if you bottle feed your baby, they will be fine. Bottle feeding is a valid way of feeding your baby, but there are so many advantages to breastfeeding. So I wanted to share some of those with you today. First, your body will have an easier time adjusting to the postpartum phase if you breastfeed. Your uterus will contract more quickly back to its original size. You tend to lose a lot of the baby weight if you breastfeed. And mothers who breastfeed actually report a lower rate of postpartum depression and anxiety. Breast milk itself is a fascinating substance. It's made from blood. So the nutrients and fats in your body travel through your bloodstream into your breasts, where the mammary glands turn it into milk. Breast milk is able to change and adapt to your baby's needs. So breastfeeding is a relationship, and your body and your baby's body actually communicate with each other. The saliva enters your bloodstream through the nipple, and your body will change the nutrients in your milk to match baby's needs. Breastfeeding is also very convenient and inexpensive. Instead of preparing a bottle every time baby is hungry, you just unclip your nursing bra and your milk is always the right temperature. Formula can cost families upwards of $30 a week. Breastfeeding is essentially free. You might have to eat a little bit extra, but not enough to make a dent in your budget. In Canada, women have the right to breastfeed anytime, anywhere. If you are in a crowded bus, you can breastfeed. If you're in a restaurant, you can breastfeed. If you're at a park, you can breastfeed. Never let anyone tell you that you're not allowed to feed your baby. You have every right to breastfeed anywhere, anytime. You can choose to use a nursing cover. Many women feel more comfortable using a cover, but it is not required. You feed your baby any way that you feel comfortable. You may choose to breastfeed for a month, a year, 2 years, more. That's amazing. Any amount of time spent breastfeeding is positive for your child. Like I said, breastfeeding is a relationship, and you both have to be into it. So if you're done breastfeeding for whatever reason, then you're done. We will always encourage women to breastfeed for at least 6 months because there are so many documented health benefits. But we will never shame anyone for using bottles. As long as your baby is fed, I'm happy. Also, if you choose to breastfeed longer than 2 years, amazing. That's such a bond, and you must have made a lot of sacrifices to get there. Good for you. So I have my little helper here. This is Paul, and Paul is a newborn baby. So to help you begin breastfeeding, make sure you have a lot of skin to skin with your baby immediately after birth. Ideally, you should hold your naked baby on your chest for at least 30 minutes after birth to allow baby to calm and for their temperature to regulate and for them to start breastfeeding. My second baby was breastfeeding like 2 minutes after she was born. She was eager. So at the beginning, you won't have proper breast milk, but you'll have something called colostrum. Colostrum is liquid gold. It is highly, highly nutritious. So even if you feel like baby isn't getting that much, that's okay. Colostrum is so nutritious, they don't need that much. Now, on the first day that baby is born, this little black bead here, that is the size of a newborn baby's stomach. So they don't need that much food to begin with, right? They just need that highly nutritious colostrum to get started. Now, I am not an expert on breastfeeding. Your midwife, a lactation consultant, and the people over at the Pregnancy and Resource Center, they are experts. They know way more about this than I do. But I did breastfeed 2 babies for about a year each, and I know a little bit about breastfeeding. So if you ever want to come see me for some tips, if you just want some, help readjusting or adjusting your latch, I can absolutely offer advice and I can help, and I'm very comfortable around breasts. I don't mind. And we have a very private office here, but by all means, don't come to me for expert advice because I won't be able to help you there. Now, my babies both struggled to latch when, at first, when they were first born. They would clamp down too hard, which actually made it harder for the milk to come out. You want babies' lips to be wide, not pursed. So it's not like sucking from a straw. It's like, it's a wide mouth. Is what I'm trying to demonstrate. The wider their mouths open, the better. Now I have a little fake breast here that I made out of a sock. And here's my baby. So when you first start breastfeeding, your breast is here. You want to put the nipple on baby's nose. So you're holding baby and you have nipple to the nose. And the idea is that baby will open their mouth wide to get that nipple in their mouth. Okay, so my Paul has a lovely wide open mouth here, so that's awesome. Good for you, Paul. So you want to get the entire nipple in their mouth, and they should also have like a good chunk of your areola in your mouth as well. So they have a wide open mouth that can cover most of this breast. Now, my girls both did not latch very well. They had that closed mouth. So I often, after they latched, I would have to put my finger here and just guide it all the way around my nipple. And that would actually get more of their mouth around the nipple and the areola, and they were able to latch on more easily. So that's a good trick if you are having latch issues. There's also many different holds you can try. So you can do cross cradle. So when you're holding baby on your hand and your arm up to your breast. You can also do football hold. That's when you have them again on your hand and arm, but this time tucked under here so they can breastfeed like this. You can also do back lying, where you're lying down like this and baby is on you. You can also do side lying. I don't have a bed here. I'm just gonna use my chair. So if I'm side lying like this, baby can latch on here. So there are a few different options you can try. If you are engorged, so that's when your breast is so full of milk that it's like big and swollen, and the nipple kind of almost flattens out because it's so swollen. I found that lying back really helped because it would kind of loosen the skin enough that baby could get a good latch on the nipple. Now, I wish I could say that breastfeeding is so natural that everyone can just do it naturally and that no one has any issues and it's always a seamless transition, but that's just not true. A lot of people need help breastfeeding, and that's why you need to use the resources like lactation consultants and midwives and the Pregnancy Resource Center and me to help you get going. I definitely needed help. I did see a lactation consultant and I had a midwife helping me, and that definitely helped me succeed with breastfeeding. Just because you're having some issues doesn't mean you're a bad mom or that you need to give up and switch to bottles. You can absolutely breastfeed if you choose to. There's lots you can try if you still want to breastfeed. Please reach out to your community for help. The biggest issue I had breastfeeding was oversupply. So my breast would get so engorged with milk that like my breast turned into basketballs. Like it was ridiculous how big they got. My baby couldn't latch because I was so engorged. She couldn't latch onto the nipple. It was just so much pressure that she couldn't get on there. So I actually had to take a shower and express some milk before feeding her for a few days because Like there's just no way that she could latch on and eat otherwise. Also, there is a difference between foremilk and hind milk. So your foremilk is more like water and your hind milk is more like cream. So the foremilk, that's more watery, there are nutrients in it and your baby can live off of that, but it's not as densely nutritious as the hind milk. So when you're engorged, typically the problem is that you have too much foremilk. So my babies would feed and feed and feed and feed and feed off of this foremilk, but it's not as filling as the hind milk. So my issue was always that they wanted to feed all the time because they wanted that milk, but all they were getting was this less nutritious foremilk. So that made me get very engorged because they just wanted to feed and 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 feed. I should say in the first few months, in the first couple months of breastfeeding, you will probably be breastfeeding about 10 to 12 hours a day. It is like having a full-time job. I also had no idea that I had milk glands in my armpits. So when my milk came in, I woke up one morning and I had golf balls in my armpits full of milk, and it was like kind of painful. So once I pumped out some milk and fed, the golf balls disappeared. Thank goodness. Also, if you're imagining your breast milk coming out just like a hose, imagine more like a shower head. There are like actually multiple holes where it comes out of, and you may even discover some like little dots around your areola that are full of milk. That happened to me. I have like little milk glands that like just a tiny little bit would come out. Very odd. Another common issue with breastfeeding is having an undersupply, or more accurately, people worrying that they have an undersupply. So some people do have an undersupply, but it's actually more rare than you would think. Usually it's a latch issue or a lack of support in the community, or mom isn't able to take care of herself properly, and so her milk is not coming in as well as it could be. So to make milk, you need to sleep, and you need to eat, and you need to drink water. If you're having any kind of supply issues, drink a big glass of water and eat a bowl of oatmeal. I guarantee you will have more milk in an hour. Oatmeal makes breast milk. It does. I had an oversupply, so I actually had to stop eating oatmeal. I made oatmeal cookies and I couldn't eat them because it would make my breasts be so engorged with milk that my babies couldn't feed anymore. So if you do have a supply issue, drink water, eat oatmeal, and try to have a nap or sleep. Use supports to help with baby while you have some rest, because you do need to take care of your body in order for it to be able to make milk for your baby. Many women experienced cracked or dry nipples at the beginning of your breastfeeding journey. You may have to work on your latch, or it may be because your nipples are doing this new job and they're adjusting. There are many nipple creams on the market. I didn't find that any of them worked that well. What I did find worked well was expressing some breast milk onto the nipple. So once baby was done feeding, I would put my fingers here, not on the nipple, but right behind it, give a little squeeze. That would normally bring a little bit of milk out to the tip of your nipple, and you just let that dry there. So you can put your nursing bra back on, or you can leave it to air dry, and that bit of milk will actually help repair your nipple, and it's free. If your nipples are cracked and bleeding, you can keep breastfeeding. That's okay. You can use a nipple shield to help protect your nipples a little bit. Please let me know if you need access to that. So that's just a plastic shield that you put on top of your nipple, and baby will feed on that nipple shield and get milk from your breast that way. But if you are cracked and bleeding, there probably is a latch issue. So please reach out to your community supports and we'll try to help you with that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned a little bit about breastfeeding, but remember, fed is best. A fed baby is a loved baby. Thank you again. Goodbye.